My husband and I are cheating on each other and I don't know what to do. My husband and I are 42, married 9 years with 2 young kids. About 3 months ago, my world came crashing down when I discovered my husband was cheating on me. He had no intention of ending his affair and told me that I was free to see other men. Neither one of us wants a divorce. I am also a stay-at-home mom, so I can't afford to live on my own. I also don't have any family to help. A former colleague, 27M, of mine offered me his coach until I got sorted out. Despite making it clear I was not interested in a relationship, a few nights and we had some drinks and one thing led to another. Since then he initiates intercourse every single night. I never turn him down because he is so good to me. He seems so happy and truly cares about my needs. Every weekend he takes the kids and me on family activities like camping, going to the zoo, etc. He has mentioned looking for a bigger place so the kids could stay with us when I file for divorce. It's a weird paradox because on one hand, I feel appreciated and wanted while on the other hand I feel like a cheating slimeball. I also feel uncomfortable with the 15-year age gap. My husband tells me that I should stay home and the kids don't understand why I leave. I desperately want to stay home, but until my husband is done with his fling, it's just too hard for me. My blood boils just at the sound of his phone receiving a message. His relationship with his AP is so bizarre, I know it can't last. She is married but her husband participates or watches or something like that. He is always bragging about how she is so much more open sexually and lets him do things that I would never be okay with. I think this is some experimental exploration that will fizzle out. I feel exhausted and feel like I am living a double life. I go to the house every morning and take care of the kids until I put them to bed. I feel like there is no way out, and if it was not for my children, I would just off myself. I can't keep going on like this. I feel like I should cut ties with my friend before things become too involved and just stay home with my children. On the other hand, I feel like I should file for divorce and never forgive my husband. I have no money and nowhere to go. Story 2. My 27M girlfriend, 26F, lied to me to go see her ex, and I caught her in the lie. I was with my 27M girlfriend, 26F, for 5 months before I caught her in a lie just this week. She had an ex that had recently moved into town from out of state. Knowing everything I know now, there's no way he didn't move here for them to be together. Anyway, we initially talked about the ex being in town, and at first she seemed transparent about the whole thing. I mentioned that it was a little odd to me that he was so insistent on seeing her right after getting into town about 2 weeks ago. I would have had no problem with her letting me know they were going to catch up at a restaurant/bar, etc., as I would extend the same courtesy to any of my exes if they came to my city. A few days pass and she calls me at about 4:30 after I'm off work. Says she's gonna hit the gym and go home after. Okay, cool, have fun. It gets to then be around 9 p.m. that night. She almost always calls me before bed, but this time texts me, and not in the usual way she texts. She was so tired from the gym and was going to go to bed. I called her because I wanted to talk to her before bed. But when she answers and we speak, I can notice that it doesn't sound like she's at home. There's a TV on, she hardly ever watches TV, and it sounds so much more echoey, like a big open room. I being to get dubious. We say goodnight and hang up, but I'm not quite done yet. I had some contact fluid sitting in a very particular place at her apartment, and you'd be able to see it very easily. So I call back and ask if she's seen it anywhere, and she says she is looking but can't find it in the place where I think I may have left it. So now my heart starts to race. In a moment of instinct, I drive to her house to see if her car is there. As I pull up, the only spot in the complex that she has to park in does not have her car. I walk up to her apartment, and since we both had keys to each other's places, I enter and she's nowhere to be found. I then begin to call her, multiple times, no answer. Almost an hour passes before she calls me again. I was actually on my way back to her place from my house since I had to first call out of work and get some things. She asks me where I'm at and says she's now at my house. I ask her where she's been and she says she was at her ex's house. My world flipped upside down. I don't really need to cover the details of our conversation, but ultimately, she was with her ex from 6 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. at his house the entire time. They talked, made dinner together, and listened to music they liked together for multiple hours. This was all what she had outlined. Whether or not things were physical, I'll never truly know. At the very least, she admitted to lying to me because she knew I'd be upset either way and admitted to having an emotional affair behind my back. She had decided that she was going to see him at about 2 p.m. I told her that I could not go on with her lying to me, and ultimately dumped her cheatin' ass. I don't believe that she has that much remorse, as she was so indignant and defensive when I confronted her. She cried and cried, almost to the point of it being a little pathetic, and who knows how much of it all was a facade. I know I deserve better. Every second from the moment she decided to go see him was a chance to come clean and stop herself. Story 3. Caught my girlfriend cheating, and now she is mad at me. I just need a place to vent. So last weekend, I caught my girlfriend cheating. She was coming out of a bar with another guy, and then they started hugging outside and inside of the car. This lasted for about 4 to 5 minutes. As she pulled off to leave, I stood in front of the car before she could drive off. Her jaw dropped to the floor and I walked away. She then calls me, and is mad that I lied to her about being at work that night. I left early, and using her location to find her at a bar with another man. I told her she is just trying to flip the wrong she did on me when she was the one out cheating. She says she didn't cheat. Earlier that night when I was leaving work because I felt ill, I called and texted her. No response. Then I sent her a text saying emergency. She called back in 2 minutes. I told her I feel really sick. I left work early and I tried to drive home, but I can't. Can you come get me, please? I'm on the side of the road off the interstate. She said no, I can't. I'm at a pool party and I've had something to drink and I don't want to drive. I can call you an Uber or something. I was really disappointed and just slept on the side of the road for a few hours until I felt better. This was around 11 p.m. At 2 a.m., I wake up, no calls or text from her, so I called her when I started to feel better when I noticed she was still out by the sounds in the background of the phone call. She got mad at me for expecting her to drive to help me on the side of the road when she said she had a drink, and at this point she is yelling saying I was at a pool party, and I had a drink. I offered a solution. Leave me alone about it, I'm on my way home. I found it very odd she was yelling at me for something I needed her help with. I've never asked for help at all in the 3 years we were together. Plus, I noticed her car sounded like she was parking somewhere. So, I pull up her location that she shared with me years ago but never used. She wasn't on her way home, she was at the bar with some dude. When I got there around 3 a.m. and saw them together by the car, I took pictures and video of what I saw. She now is trying to deny that I saw what I saw. She said I violated her trust and privacy by stalking her, basically coming to where she said she wasn't, and says she met him that night. All she did was hug him goodbye, and when he tried to kiss her neck she pushed him off. From my video, it didn't happen that way. They were hugging each other for minutes and it looked like they were kissing. She denies it and refuses to accept what I saw with my own 2 eyes standing right behind them and with proof. She now says I was in the wrong and is mad at me. How is this possible for her when I am the one that is mad and should be pissed? Story 4. 2-year affair and I should just get over it. He admitted 4 weeks ago that he was having an affair. At first, it was less than a year, and then AP told me he was pursuing her for 2 years. She knew he was married, but who doesn't want to be pursued? You trifling, punta. He was begging to be in her life as recently punta. Weeks before D-Day. But he wants to stay with me, or so he claims. They met through mutual friends at a party in Mexico. I was not there, I couldn't go to Mexico due to my job. I was away on business. I was providing for our family, because that's what partners do, or so, I thought, contribution to our future. What a joke. He says they would meet after he visited his father on Tuesdays. That's all he admitted to, but I know it was more. His trips to Mexico increased while I was away. He went to Mexico once a week to check on Dad, at least that's what he claims. I was none the wiser. F***ing trust, why did I trust my husband? A year ago, we bought a house because I was returning home from working abroad. Why did he do this when he was in a relationship with his bitch, so why make another investment with me? He claims he didn't have time to remodel our home, but now I know why. He was fixing up her house, and she sent me pictures afterward to let me know they were a couple, planning their future, fixing her bathroom. They are having a baby. He was planning his future life with her, but living his present lie with me, or maybe that's the hope I am holding on to. He had unprotected sex with this tramp and still had sex with me. How disgusting, putting my damn life at risk. F*** you. Now I sit here with tears and pain, wondering how someone could be so psychotic, so treacherous, so deceitful. Married 13 years, didn't matter. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is what he wanted, so why get married if it's all about you? But me dealing with the trauma, I should be over it because he can't bear to see my tears. He says that him still being here should be good enough for me to work on this marriage. Well, so is the garbage. So eat a dick, you treacherous, deceitful, self-centered lowlife. That's my raw, unadulterated emotional state right now.